Hello everyone and welcome back to A Couple Books. This is Couple, mostly per usual, depends on the day, but today is a couple day, and today we're going to be going through my top 5 favorite authors. So as you guys probably know, I'm doing a series of top 5 videos to basically sum up what I read in the year 2020, and these are going to be my top 5 favorite authors that I picked up in 2020, meaning that I had never read them in the year 2019 or before then. These are all brand new authors to me that I only started reading this year. And so with that out of the way, let's get started. This is in no serious order at all. These are just 5 random ones because it was hard enough choosing 5. There's no way that I was able to put these into a list. I am a Gemini, and that means it was not going to happen. Let's get started. The first author I have for you today is Paul Tremblay. This is The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. I read this in October around Halloween time, and it was kind of like a huge jumpstart for me. I read a few other books by Paul Tremblay as of now, and I love him. He's probably one of my new favorite horror authors out there. He writes not just very good horror, but he writes with double meanings, he writes metaphors, he writes beautiful similes. He's just a great writer. I really enjoy his work. I think he's very fantastic, and I'll be for sure picking him up in the year 2021 and beyond that, most likely. He writes just great horror books and great thriller books, and I think that he is definitely one to watch out for. I've heard his name around the grapevine quite a bit over the last few years, but I've never really had a chance to pick him up, and now that I'm seriously getting more into horror, I really want to give him more of a chance and more of a shot, and so far he has not disappointed me at all, so I will be continuing to pick up Paul Tremblay's works in the coming years. The next author I have for you guys, I haven't really talked a lot on this channel about. That's mostly because I read most of his books before I started BookTube, but that's going to be Blake Crouch. I discovered Blake Crouch this year with his Pines series, the Wayward Pines series, which is also, funny enough, a TV show on Hulu. But that is not the point. The point is that this is probably one of my favorite science fiction authors out there as of the moment. I really enjoy what he's doing. I really enjoy how he approaches sci-fi. It's not that I'm opposed to space opera, but I like how he handles sci-fi much more. He writes quite a few different thriller books as well, but his sci-fi has been my favorite so far. He does a lot of real actual scenarios that involve scientific or sci-fi futuristic things such as time travel. He does not approach it in a super surreal sense, but he approaches it in a much more practical sense of how would we handle these applications in our lifetime and what would their impacts be. So for example, in his book Recursion, this is a book that handles mostly time travel and its impacts and how time travel would be handled if it was something that was introduced into our real world society. What would happen if time travel was all of a sudden a feasible idea and was actually practical and we could use it. That's not saying that the government already doesn't have the ability to time travel, just like they don't have aliens in the Area 51. But besides for that, I really enjoy his stuff, and I'm picking up some of his thriller books so that I can start reading his past backlog of books. But so far I've read Blake Crouch's Dark Matter and his Wayward Pine series, and I've loved every single work he's done. I've not been bored for a single second. He's a great sci-fi author, and that is why I will be continuing to read Blake Crouch in the year 2021 and beyond. My next author for you should be no surprise. That is going to be Nick Cutter. I have read The Troop and The Deep by Nick Cutter in the year 2020, and he was an author I picked up really late in the game. I picked him up, I think, in November time. I picked up The Troop, and then in December I read The Deep, and it's really hard to scare me. I've been desensitized, dramatically so, and it is pretty much next to impossible to scare me these days. I watch horror movies and I watch it with friends so that I can watch their reactions because it just no longer impacts me, which is a really sad fact of life. So actually, if anyone knows anything that's going to scare me, let me know. But The Troop was insane. The Troop got so deep into me. This book also did as well. I'll be posting a full review on this book at some point in the future because it was that good. I love Nick Cutter. I think his books are some of the scariest stuff I've ever read. Not in the sense that it's a boo factor, but more in the sense of shock and just utter gross bewilderment. I went vegetarian a few weeks after reading one of his books. Nick Cutter just knows how to get underneath your skin. And if you are someone who's just craving for some irky, gross, like extremely disturbing, call your therapist the next day crying type of horror, Nick Cutter's your person. I absolutely love his work so far. I've really enjoyed him, and that is why I'll be continuing to pick up Nick Cutter in the future and keeping my eye out for any new books by him. My next author is going to be Naomi Novik. Naomi Novik, I've read Uprooted by her, Spinning Silver by her, and the first book in A Deadly Education, which is the first book in her Scholarman series, which is like a magical school series. While I've had individual issues with each of her works, I really enjoy what she does. She employs, especially in her standalone fantasy books such as Uprooted and Spinning Silver, she employs a lot of folk tales from all across the world. She employs a lot of different cultures from across the world and puts them in her books. I really enjoy that international perspective. And coming from a religious Jew, her Spinning Silver book has a lot of anti-Semitism in it and a lot of like Jewish stereotypes and Jewish culture in it, and she handles it all beautifully. She really portrays what it's like to be a victim of anti-Semitism. She does a fantastic job of not just making her books and the story within her books wonderful, but she also makes sure to grapple with intense, hard to discuss and hard to understand concepts from different cultures and societies and balance it out with the fantasy that's going on in her books. I absolutely adore this author. And while I did have issues with her A Deadly Education book, I am so looking forward to continuing my reading journey with her, and I am so stoked for her next book, which I do believe comes out in July. So Naomi Novik is for sure going to be one of those authors that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for and continuing to pick up her books as soon as they hit the shelves while they're still really hot. My next author for you guys is going to be Evan Winter. Evan Winter's book, The Rage of Dragons, dropped I think in 2019, if I do believe so, but I didn't pick it up till 2020, and his new book I just got, and I'm so excited to pick up as well. I think that he is an amazing author. This is his debut novel. I'm so excited to pick up his second one. The part of the reason I loved him so much is because he took a massive epic, like this book could have been like 4 books, honestly. Like he is writing epic fantasy in such a way where it's so concise and nice and amazing. And from what I've been hearing around, that is how his second book goes. He just knows how to write a fantasy epic and fill it to the brim and keep it nice and tight and quick, and I really enjoy that. Don't get me wrong, I love my epic fantasy. I love my fantasy that spans for books and books and books, but it does at some points get more exhausting, and it's hard to keep up when there's 50 books in a series and it's so in detail. So I really appreciate what Evan Winter does and takes all that stuff and really boils it down to its fine points and tells you a very epic story in a much shorter span of pages than is normal. I am super excited for more of Evan Winter's works. Those are my 5 authors I'm going to be continuing to check out in the year 2021 and beyond. I love them all very much. This was an extremely hard list. So if I left anyone off this list, don't be surprised, because I legit had nightmares because of making this list. It was that hard, people, okay? I've said it before, I'm a Gemini. This is not who I am. I don't make lists. I don't make top 5s. It's very difficult, even though I will do it for you people. So please be okay with my list. And if I forgot anyone that you think should be on this list, don't forget to comment down below who you think I should have mentioned instead. Don't forget to leave your comments, your thoughts, your opinions, your reactions down below. I'm so excited to continue the discussion down there with you people. There's so many other amazing authors I met in the year 2021, but for the sake of making a top 5, these are the 5 I came up with. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm so looking forward to seeing you guys downstairs in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been Couple at a Couple Books, and I am so looking forward to seeing you guys hopefully tomorrow. Bye.